focused, false, money driven, major fraud, breathless, body, diamond, bones, wanna be it, wanna feel it.
Eight. How much you got behind?
300.
300. All in?
You wanna go twice?
Sure.
Pair? Come on, let's show. Twice.
Okay, twice, yeah? Go
Yeah.
three. Okay.
Yep. All both agree.
Coming.
I should complete the card for you.
Yeah. Flop.
What a start it is to the session. Now sitting with a stack just north of 350 big blinds, we pick up the same hand again. One limper before us, I raise to 10 in the low jack. The small blind cold calls, who is the same player from the last hand trying to get his chips back, and the limper comes along as well. Three ways to the streets. It comes 3-3-10 to clubs. Lovely. Checks over to us. I bet third pot. Only the player from the last hand makes the call. The turn is another undercard to our pocket pair in the 9 of hearts. So when he checks again, I barrel for around 75% pot. He makes the call again. So now going to be betting around half pot on most rivers, especially on the 5 of clubs. As clean as it gets. When he checks again, I bet a little smaller than I would have liked, but at least it's something. £55. He's in the tank for a minute and ends up making a frustrated call. We show him the ladies again. Unlucky, bro.
Yeah. Smack it up, flip it, rub it down. Oh.
Moving on, we pick up King Jack suited. Action folds to us in the big blind with the straddle on. I've raised it to 15. Straddler calls. Flop is Jack 10-7. Rainbow out of position. I check. He checks back. Turn is a blank 2. Now, I get a bit greedy and bet pot. Trying to get calls from pairs with a gut shot or other draw type hands, but he folds. We open ace 10 off with the straddle on and get forced out by a small blind free bet, then pick up pocket jacks in early position, the straddle on and take it. Before arriving in the hijack with the big slick, I open to 15 with the straddle on, cut off and straddler calls. Flop is queen 8-7 to clubs. We don't really have anything, we're out of position, so I check and it checks through. So now on a clean turn, I think we can start using our overcards and range advantage to apply some pressure. And the turn is pretty clean, the 5 of spades. So when it checks to us, now I bet 40 into 48 and we get it through. Let's go. We get dealt some nice hands, pocket 8s, ace king, then 9s, but mostly lose out to a free bet. Ace 4 spades next in early position. I raise to 20, straddler calls, king 8-2 to diamonds, checks to meet a c-bet range, he free bets, we make an easy laydown. Straddle is on again, so we raise to 15 out of the hijack, straddler calls. We have ace jack suited. Flop comes 6, 7, 10, and rainbow 1 club. He checks, I think I'm just going to check this back. We have ace high, some showdown value on a board. That's not exactly great for us. Turn is the queen of diamonds. Good card for our range. So when he checks, I think we can potentially push him off a lower pair. I pot it and we take it down. Button opens 7 quid. We defend queen jack off in the big blind. Flop is okay. I check. He bets 5. We just call. 7 of hearts on the turn. He bets 11. Now I decide it is time to spring the trap to 50 quid. But to no avail, unfortunately. He folds and we're starting to run a little bit dead. It's getting late. We end a 6-hour session there. We are back in business, my friends. The very next day, the first hand is once again pocket queens. Lovely.
Bitches, man.
We are facing a £10 open from the hijack, who I have little to no info on. Anyway, I 3-bet to 30 and he just makes the call. Flop is pretty naughty. 8, 7, 9, 2 clubs. We don't even have a club, so I check it back. Turn is good though, the 4 of diamonds. So now, when he checks it over again, I bet half pot and he just lets it go. Lick our lips next, looking down at the pretty ace 5 suited, but then after the players are direct right opens to 15 quid with no straddle on. I decide to make a semi-tight fold because I don't really fancy free betting it versus such a large opening raise. And we move to ace jack of hearts next. I open the low jack, we get called by the straddle. Flop is 6-3 queen 2 spades. He checks it over, I bet range and he calls. On the 5 of clubs it checks through and now some help would be nice. The river answers with the jack of spades and our opponent leads for 40% pot, which for that price I don't think we can ever fold. We show and are good. We peel king queen. Straddle is on. Hijack raises to 15, who is the same loose player from the last session who was the victim of our queen hands. And I opt to 3-bet to 45. He comes along. We go heads up to the flop, which comes for ace jack 2 diamonds. We miss, but on a board that is better for us. So when he checks, I bet 3rd pot as standard. And that was it for this one. We take it down. Let's go. We pick up queen jack of clubs next in the big blind. There are 3 limbers before us. It's tempting to just flick in the call and try flop the nuts multi-way, but I choose aggression and 3-bet to 20 to try get this heads up. Only the original limper calls, who I didn't realize only has 27 more pounds behind, so instantly I regretted my decision of 3-betting, especially when the flop comes ace high, we check and he jams, and I just have no choice but to fold. We open ace 8 of spades next, but then get squeezed out. Then open 10-9 of clubs on the button. Big blind calls and the flop comes 3-4-9 rainbow. Very nice. He checks, I bet half pot and he calls. Turn is the king of hearts. No need to bet. We have showdown value and could just check back. A lot of our king X has played anyway. River is the jack of diamonds. He checks. We have 3rd pair, so of course we just show and are good. Hijack limps and we are on the button with ace 8 off. I raise it to a tenner and punish the limper. Limper calls. We go heads up. Flop is 9-7-3 2 diamonds. He checks and now I check back, which I think is the first big mistake of this session. Anyway, queen of hearts on the turn. Good for our range. He checks and I bet 3rd pot, which doesn't really achieve anything. This sizing is just too small to fold out any better hands. So it's just burning money. He calls. River is the 5 of hearts. He leads 30 into 40 now and we fold after making an absolute mess of this one. Upon reflection, I just think check and back flop simply capped our range unnecessarily when we have a hand and range that was good enough to barrel on several runouts. Let's just forget that one. 3 hours into the session, we raise pocket 9s in the hijack 215 with the straddle on, small blind cold calls and the straddler calls as well. Flop is kind to our pocket pair, 3, 8, 6, 2 spades. Checks to us in position, I bet 20 into 47 and only the straddler calls. 10 of hearts on the turn, checks through. King of spades on the river, we check back and are good. After this hand, we rack up this very short session, which didn't include too many big pots or hands. Do let me know if I should bother including these types of sessions in the vlogs or I should just pass on them. But if you ask me, I do think there is value in including sessions with several small pots, because I think a large part of becoming a winning player is navigating small pots correctly.
Yes.
We returned to the casino 4 hours later after getting some dinner with some friends.
Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch.
For another very short session, but we do end up passing on that one because there was just really nothing interesting going on. £30 loss there for full transparency. Call it a night at 2:30 a.m. and drive home. Appreciate the support, guys. No intro for this one, so just going to do it over the voice recording. I do feel improvement is definitely being made. Partly big thanks to my coach, who has been a massive help for what's been 15 sessions with him now. Hopefully you guys are learning from the journey. I do understand that some of you may have very little experience playing live poker, so if you have got any questions, do let me know in the comments. I will do my best to answer them in as much detail as possible. As I remember when I first started, it was always difficult to get to the grips with the nuances of the game. It's a very complicated game, and sometimes it just helps getting perspective from someone who has recently been a beginner. I still consider myself somewhat a beginner, but I do have, 1.5 years experience now, and I am being coached, which has sped up my progress. So yeah, let me know in the comments. But guys, I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.